go, let's go, let's go. What's up, everybody? What's up, Steve-O? What's up, Sammy? What's up, Mike? Appreciate you guys. Hi, Tanya. How are you? Appreciate you. What's up, Yakov? Santa, how are you? What's going on? Go fast. There you are, big guy. What's going on? Filter in. I'll be right with you. What is going on, beautiful people? Let's hop right into it. How is everybody doing? I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. It is February 4th, 2026. Welcome back to the show. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Please also subscribe over there to this space. This space is doing a subscriber drive, which they started on the 2nd. Please, if you could head over there, it is a great opportunity. Let me throw this on the screen too, because it's a great opportunity to get involved with a community that is absolutely trying to do the right thing over there for the right reasons. Let me throw this on there for you guys because they wanted me to make sure that we do the right thing here by this space. And again, it's a good working class independent media collective, as you can see on the screen. Your support helps this channel to stay on the air. In 2026, they're focused on growth. So if you haven't already, please encourage the others to subscribe as well. Sharing our content supports individual creators, let me get out of the way, as much as it supports the entire project. By working together, we can break through the algorithm while we continue to speak truth to power and provide quality media at the same time. So as you guys always hear me or talk about on Wednesday afternoons, I just want to give a big shout out to this space, the mods, everybody over there, Matt, for putting it together. I really do appreciate you guys, and hopefully everybody that hears this, everybody that sees this, will hop over there, give them a big subscribe over there, give them a like on the stream. It goes a long way in helping. And again, if we could build the numbers up and give it's just very important that we have the most channels, the most people, the most independent thinkers, the most independent creators up here in a space that is available to them to get their word out at any point in time, with people and great mods that are willing to help and support their channels. It really is a great cause that I'm happy to be a part of. So again, anybody watching this now live, anybody watching this later, please think about going over there and subscribing to this space. Again, big shout out to Matt and the mods over there. What do you say we hop into saying hi to our chat over here? The best chat on the internet, the best chat on social media. What's going on, guys? There you are. What's up, beautiful people? What's going on, Troll Slayer? What's up, Sammy, Steve, Rob, and Mark? What's going on, everybody? Appreciate you. Anybody that would just watch me over there with Hal? Good conversation, as always, that we have. What's up, Yakov? Thank you so much. Started out with a buck or two. I appreciate you, Yakov, as always. What's going on, Mr. Foss? What's up, Rocks? Appreciate you, El Rondo. Everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram, as always. Like I said, hit that like button. We got a few different stories that we're going to be diving into today. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Donald Trump and his little interaction that he had with Caitlin Collins, basically now telling everybody in America, everybody in the world that wants answers to what happened and what was been released in the Epstein files, to just move on, to just get on with your life. Don't think about it anymore, all while being misogynistic and demeaning and degrading to Caitlin Collins. So we'll be digging into that clip, seeing if we can kind of set the story right on that one. We also have, and if you were listening to Hal's interview, Hal's channel that we were just talking on, we're going to be diving into a little bit of the Peter Thiel. I know it's on, Candace Owens is covering it, but we're going to be diving into Peter Thiel's little interaction that he had with Joe Rogan, which should be very interesting considering he pretty much gives the entire game away in this aspect. So I'm not really sure why the hell he decided to go on there and say what he said. It doesn't make him look good. Doesn't make Peter Thiel look good. And, in return, by association, doesn't make J.D. Vance look good. So this is sticking with the theme of, recognizing just how many people in the orbit of Donald Trump whether in his past life as a fucking failed businessman, as a con man, right? Or as his, newfound glory as a politician in the United States. It's funny how many people associated with him, related to him, in business with him, living next to him, are in and named in these Epstein files. So we'll be taking a look at that. And obviously, people have been talking about this as well. I think for a long time, people have kind of rightly suspected that, the Republicans were going to try some shenanigans, some funny business with midterms and with the general election upcoming. And it seems like we're getting more and more evidence by the day to kind of corroborate or suggest that that just might be the case. Because we're now hearing from Steve Bannon that they absolutely do intend on, at least by his words, putting ICE agents and the DHS agents and the people that you've now seen go and shoot American citizens in the streets of our fucking cities, around these voting stations, around the voting areas, to, again, intimidate, dissuade people from showing up. So we'll be taking a look at that as well. And then obviously I wanted to dive into a little bit of what the Americans are saying as far as polling numbers and how much they trust the Republicans and Donald Trump in particular on running free and fair elections, because we've heard about the quid pro quos. Again, we've talked about on the show that they've been given and kind of dangling ICE and DHS in front of these states, in front of governors, and being like, okay, well, if you give us the voter rolls, if you just release all of these people from jail, we'll get all of the ICE agents out of your city, right? So they've done that to, again, Oregon. They've done that to California. They've done it to Minnesota, and I'm sure in several other places. We've seen the redistricting in Texas. We saw them fighting, the ballot proposition in California on top of, the redistricting that we saw. So, I mean, they're kind of going headfirst into this, and with Donald Trump talking about, taking over elections and nationalizing elections, seems like we better be prepared, right? We better have an off ramp. We better have some kind of plan B if we do run into these guys, again, with the Fulton County raid down in Georgia, seeking and taking the ballots from the 2020 election that has been litigated to the ends of the earth, that have seen court case after court case after court case, and absolutely nothing come from that. It's all connected. And then when you hear Donald Trump talking about with Dan Bongino, how he's talking about elections and the military in the same sentence, one has to wonder why. One has to wonder what the connection is in Donald Trump's mind with elections and the military. We've already seen how he's willing to use, again, the military, the National Guard, ICE, DHS, Border Patrol as his private security force, as his private SA, to go out there and brutalize, intimidate, instigate violence. So it's not beyond the realm of possibilities by any circumstance. And then there was also this one I wanted to dive into too, if we have enough time, because Jim Acosta, Joy Reid, and Mehdi Hassan sat down to kind of discuss the state of the free press at the moment, and they had some really good insights. They had some really good things that they were talking about as far as, again, where independent journalism lies, where the free press lies, and kind of the dangers posed to it right now. So if we have enough time, I definitely wanted to take a look at that. What do you say we dive into first and foremost this kind of debacle that was seen and videotaped at the White House between Caitlin Collins and Donald Trump? And again, Caitlin Collins asking, and I'm no big fan of Caitlin Collins. I'm no fan of Caitlin Collins by any stretch of the imagination. But the way that she's treated here, the questions that she's just trying to ask, the answers that she's looking for, and the treatment that she gets is absolutely reprehensible. Right? It's just absolutely disgusting for somebody that's named over 38,000 times in the Epstein files, just in the latest tranche alone, to treat somebody and to say the things he's saying like this, and especially to a female, especially to a woman, right? You would fucking think if you had a brain, well, if you had a brain, you wouldn't even put yourselves in the situation to be listed in the Epstein file. So I guess we can't go down that route. But all right, let's just try to, envision ourselves as being like in a position where somebody's accusing you, right, of being in the files or having some, engagement in sexual assault, whatever it may be. Do you think you'd probably go out there and maybe attempt to be nice? Right? You'd try to, not degrade and demean women in front of cameras. I mean, I'm just thinking optically, right? I mean, again, that's not what he's thinking about, but it just, to me, wouldn't make sense if you're just named in the Epstein files release in the biggest sex trafficking ring known on the fucking planet, that you would, again, come out here and continue to just be an asshole to women at every opportunity. So let's take a look at this interaction, and then we'll talk about it after.
Yeah, what do you want?
On the Epstein files, you talked about Democrats who were in there. Elon Musk was also in there, and so was your Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and correspondence that he had with him. Did you read those new files that were published by the Department of Justice?
I didn't. I have a lot of things I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing. I don't know. You mentioned two names. I'm sure they're fine. Otherwise, it would have been major headlines.
A lot of women who are survivors of Epstein's are unhappy with those redactions that came out. Some of them, entire witness interviews are totally blacked out. Do you think that they should be more transparent?
The fact that they thought they released too much. I heard that, and you tell me something else. No, I think it's really time for the country to get onto something else. Really, now that nothing came out about me, other than it was.
Nothing came out about me. He's fucking referenced almost 40,000 times. Just think about that. 40,000 times. More times than he lied in his first administration, which was between 30 and 40,000 lies, right? It's more than what? Did somebody say? I thought I heard somebody say more than Jesus is referenced in the Bible. He's referenced in the Epstein files, and now he's, again, being surrounded by such sycophantic fucking morons that even they are sitting in the background rubbing on his America is back hat like it's a blow-up doll in his hand, and just sitting there while he says that there's nothing in there about him, while he's been totally exonerated of all this. And it's like, what planet are you living on? Again, 40,000 fucking mentions. Allegations, emails, dates, times, locations, flight logs, associates, people in the administration right now. What the fuck are you talking about?
A conspiracy against me, literally, by Epstein and other people.
So the two questions are, did you read the files that, again, listed the people that are now working in your administration? And two, did the fucking, do you think the victims deserve justice? And in both cases, he says, no, he didn't read the files, of course, and no, that the victims don't deserve justice and that America should just move past this. Can you fucking imagine the shit that we've heard come out of these files? The fucking nasty, disgusting, egregious, decrepit, fucking insidious things that we've seen just in what's been released, not what's been redacted, not what still has to be released in the millions and millions and millions of files that have not come out. Just in what we know. And to say that America should move on from that, we shouldn't be, again, investigating the fucking emails that are threatening to kill children, that are threatening to kill families. We shouldn't be investigating, again, all of these people that are blatantly asking to come to a pedophile party, coming to a pedophile island. But
I think it's time now for the country to maybe get onto something else.
What would you say to people who feel like they haven't gotten justice, Mr. President?
Something that people care about. Yeah, what did you say? Go ahead.
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they've gotten
You are the worst reporter. No wonder CNN has no ratings because of people like you. She's a young woman. I don't think I've ever seen you smile. I've known you for 10 years. I don't think I've ever seen a smile on your face. You know why? You know why you're not smiling? Because
That's a great response too, and credit where credit is due to Caitlin, because she's pushing back on this a lot of times where she doesn't push back, and she's fucking accurately she actually came back with a good comeback on that one, where it's like, he's asking her to smile. She's asking questions about sexual assault survivors. Where the fuck is where do you smile again? Where are you supposed to crack a smile in a question about sexual assault survivors that are seeing absolutely no justice or accountability for the people that perpetrated these crimes upon them, for the monsters that still walk freely amongst us, right? Where's the smile supposed to come in there, dickhead?
Not telling the truth, and you're a very dishonest organization, and they should be ashamed of you. Okay, go ahead. Speaking of Epstein, I will say this. A reporter named Wolf and Epstein conspired. This just came out yesterday in the millions of pages of documents, how crazy this is.
Well, it's crazy that he ended up seeing one of the ones that, he's trying to use to justify or exonerate himself, but he didn't look at the other mentions of him in the 38,000 plus times his name's on there, or the people in his administration. Those pages just didn't happen to reach his desk. But the one that he's trying to use here between Michael Wolff and fucking Jeffrey Epstein that he thinks completely exonerates himself, which is asinine, is the one that he did see.
Conspired against me in order to fight like hell to make sure.
And it might have been at the beginning of this clip. A lot of people are also recognizing, and they kind of caught where he was calling it Jeffrey's Island, right? Not Jeffrey Epstein's Island. Like never once in the coverage, never once in the podcast here have I called it Jeffrey's Island. Like we're not on a fucking first name basis. Like we're buddy. And Donald Trump kind of slipped back into his old routine, kind of caught himself, did catch himself, but definitely started to call it Jeffrey's Island, and then went back and said Jeffrey Epstein's Island, which again I think is pretty telling when these people were friends for so long and how close they were. A good showing there of him reverting back to his old ways.
It was the election. That's the only thing that was mentioned about me. Now about Democrats, some really bad stuff, but about me, that Wolf, whoever Wolf is, he wrote a couple of books, and Epstein conspired against me. Did you know that, Mr. Senator?
Again, this is the thing that he called a Democrat hoax. How in a Democrat hoax is there's what, a conspiracy inside of a conspiracy? It's just a little fucking Easter egg hunt that the Democrats decided to put in there in case the overarching, fucking conspiracy didn't land. We decided to stick that one in there just to be like, okay, yep, let's throw that one in there just in case. This is what he called this, a hoax. Now he's referencing the files as justification, as something that exonerates himself. Just like how fucking how much of a lunatic do you have to be to do that? It's fake, but let me point out this fake shit that I'm saying is fake in order to exonerate myself. McFly.
They conspired.
It's like this when he said this. I don't know if you could hear that. Hopefully you could, but it's the one where he says walls and wheels. Two things you can never change: walls and wheels.
Against me, so I lose the election, or worse. So that takes care of Epstein as far as Trump is concerned. But you got a lot of.
That takes care of Epstein as far as Trump is concerned. Are you out of your fucking mind? Answer: yes, I know that. Why'd I ask the question? I don't know. Basically a rhetorical question, but. Again, knowing what you guys know, knowing what we all know, the media, what we've all seen, the references, the flight logs, the fucking long-term relationship, everything he said about his daughter, everything he said on Howard Stern, everything he said about going backstage at the beauty pageants to take a look at the contestants when they had no clothes on. The whole 9 yards, grabbing women by the pussy, cheating on his wife with a porn star, all of it wrapped up together. Do we honestly believe at this point, that Donald Trump thinks he's getting one over on people? Seriously. As demented and deluded as this motherfucker is, does he honestly think that he's going to get the American people and the world writ large to move on from this without continuously looking for answers and accountability? Just serious. You couldn't possibly be that demented. I don't think anybody could possibly be that demented. If your brain fell out of your asshole and you was an empty, cavernous fucking space up in your head, you would still be able to recognize that you're not going to fucking squirm your way out of this one. And that whatever, referenced email you're talking about right now does not exonerate you from everything else that we know, all of the fucking disgusting allegations, all of the 38,000 plus mentions of your name. Not going to happen. I don't know who you're fooling. I think, hold on. What's this one? Yeah.
I feel like there's a disconnect.
There is a disconnect somewhere. And then there's another one on this somewhere.
That's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. All right, let's go.
Democrats out there that are very much involved with Epstein. But
I should probably ask, did you guys hear that drop? I'm going to play a drop in 3 seconds. Let me know if you guys hear it, because I set it up on the stream deck. I'm just not sure if you guys can hear it yet. I know a couple times you said you couldn't. So 3, 2, 1. Let me know if you could hear it. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the chat. Appreciate you guys.
I'll be honest with you. You got to get back to running the country, too.
Did you
Millions and millions every week. When Epstein was alive, nobody cared about him. When he's dead, they...
What the fuck are you talking about? Do you honestly believe that the victims weren't demanding answers? Do you honestly believe that people weren't demanding answers and accountability for what Jeffrey Epstein did and was fucking convicted of years and years ago? Do you honestly believe nobody cared about it? Nobody thought about it because there was the accurate and appropriate separation between Joe Biden and the DOJ, right? Because Joe Biden and, his administration weren't able to fucking do what Donald Trump's doing and just, control the DOJ like it's fucking, they're on puppet strings at every opportunity. No, I mean, it's ridiculous to think. And guess what? Who was president? Who was president before Biden? who was president before Biden, who also had access to this stuff if he wanted to have it released. Just a question for the chat. That's all.
Care about him. But it's really a Democrat problem. It's not a Republican, it's a Democrat problem. The only problem Republicans have is that we have to get back to, number one, running our country, and then number two, very importantly, letting the public know what a great job we're doing.
Jesus Christ. Again, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Howard Lutnick. I mean, the list just goes on. Peter Thiel. The list just goes on and on and on of high-profile Republicans. Again, some of which now working at the White House, and one of which now the head of that White House leading this fucking country as president, listed directly, lying directly to our faces like Howard Lutnick did. When Howard Lutnick said, oh, my wife and I, we went over there and we had to, oh, geez, there was a massage table and he breathed on me, so we left. And in 5 steps, we said we were never going back there. But then what? Several years later, we're emailing the same son of a bitch, asking if we could take us and our kids and our friends and their kids over to the island. Because he's got 2 16s, 2 14s, a 7, a 3, and a 2. Basically giving this fucking sicko a menu of the kids that he's going to bring, is what it looks like to me.
We have the greatest economy in the history of the world. We have $18 trillion being spent. The record was 3.
And again, we only needed to go through the first section, but for fucking Christ's sakes. I mean, again, to be somebody in the media standing in front of him right now, I don't know what, you'd have to remove my vocal cords. You would have to quite literally slice open my goddamn throat and relieve me of my vocal cords, my trachea, and all of the things that I need to use in order to make sounds come out of my mouth. Because if I sat in front of him and he was like, oh, that's it, wrap it up, I'll move forward, no fucking nothing about me in there, I would just lose my motherfucking mind. I wouldn't be, that's why I just couldn't be I just wouldn't be able to control myself. Right? I would, for that one soundbite, that one clip of somebody in the fucking media going, you motherfucking liar. Like, how fucking stupid do you need to be to think that's the case? Like, just something along those lines. It would be very well worth it. I think you'd probably come out on top in the end. But again, speaking of people that are close to Donald Trump, speaking of Donald Trump acolytes and their connections to Jeffrey Epstein, and again, they're like Hal was mentioning how like unapologetic they are about their dealings with Jeffrey Epstein and how they're willing to excuse it. Cue in Candace Owens covering Peter Thiel. So this is really nothing much to do with Candace Owens. That's just where I kind of stumbled across the clip. But there are a few moments in which where she's talking about how this doesn't look good for J.D. Vance. And she's 100% right. As sick, as bigoted, as racist, and twisted as she is, right, as anti-Semitic as she is, as much of a fucking Looney Tune she is, she's 100% right with J.D. Vance's association with Peter Thiel, and now that looking very bad for J.D. Vance. And then if you look at it from the 30,000-foot view, right, that's just another Donald Trump acolyte, another Donald Trump associate, whether it's Peter Thiel or J.D. Vance, wrapped up in all of this. So add them to the fucking list. But let's just check out a couple minutes of this real quick, and then we'll dive on to I want to check out Steve Bannon talking about sending ICE to voting stations, and then we'll check out the polls from the American people, and then we'll go into the Zateo sit down with Joy Reid and Jim Acosta. So let's check this out and see what she's got to say. But she's right, at least in what she's talking about as far as J.D. Vance's involvement. Yeah, check this out.
Actresses. And they were tasked with destroying Christianity, just as they were doing upon the European continent. I don't have time to tell you guys about World War II. Just assume that everything.
Whoa. I didn't hear that part before. What's she talking about World War II? What's she talking about World War II here?
That the European continent. I don't have time to tell you guys about World War II. Just assume that everything that they told you is incorrect and upside down. They're lying.
Oh, Jesus. Candace, can we debate World War II? Is there any chance? I know I'm tiny. I know it's just a small YouTube creator. I know I'm nothing substantial. You probably won't get any press coverage from it. Certainly won't get any like new subscribers or anything from it. But I would just really, really fucking enjoy sitting down and just discussing what you believe actually happened before, during, and after World War II. And then we could discuss what actually took place, the heroism and the sacrifice, and the things that you think are just complete bullshit. The amount of slaughter, brutality, I mean, again, I'm not sure, again, to what extent you think everything is upside down and everything we were taught is backwards as far as World War II. But I didn't even hear that part in it the first time. So I'd be very curious. And again, extending an invitation to definitely discuss and debate World War II at any moment, anytime, any period, whatever, night, day, whatever.
About what happened yesterday, they sure as hell are not telling us truth about what happened during World War II. And I just don't really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake up. And we're not getting all of these files. Obviously, they are protecting a ton of people. The fact that you can't find like the Adelsons in here is completely ridiculous.
And again, this is like half of her anti-Semitic, like everything has to involve Israel type of fucking conspiracy that she's been on, like the path that she's been on. But again, the Adelsons, we all know Donald Trump, big donors to Donald Trump, basically the ones that bought and paid for the embassy moving to Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, the Abraham Accords, all things that Miriam Adelson and her husband, who has since passed away, if I'm not mistaken, were responsible for kind of swaying and buying Donald Trump out for. Now, she's kind of suggesting that she's surprised that they're not in there. But again, I don't know to what extent that's her anti-Semitic, anti-Israel delusions, or if that's something that, should be prominently featured and is being kept back or hidden in the files that haven't been released per the request of Donald Trump because of the amount of money that they've donated to his campaigns, right? I wouldn't surprise me if they, the people that paid the most, the people that donated the most, if they had involvement, were the people that were getting their files held back. Whereas, Elon Musk, where he went against the great Fuhrer at one point or another, definitely didn't have his files redacted or emails redacted to keep him out of trouble.
People that are still in power,
she goes on here and she's going to play a clip of Peter Thiel on with Joe Rogan, but she discusses the connection between Peter Thiel and JD Vance, rightly so.
Active agents in America today are all being protected, which is why it was super interesting to see them sort of throw Peter Thiel under the bus. That was interesting. Like I said, you can trace this stuff through politics, through Hollywood, the Jewish occultist mystics that established these industries. But Peter Thiel, his emails went up there, and it ain't good for JD Vance. I'll tell you that right away. I think this is plausibly the biggest scandal to come out of I guess I should say, the most consequential thing to come.
I mean, again, that's just fucking absolutely asinine. This is along the lines of, and I'll see if I can find it as she's talking, but Matt Walsh actually put out a fucking video on Twitter literally suggesting that the most damaging thing, the most explosive thing to come out of the recent email tranche, the recent file release, was the fact that Zohran Mamdani's mom was a video director, a Hollywood director. I shit you not. I shit you fucking not. He actually says it with his own mouth in front of a camera. That's the most egregious. That's the craziest thing. That's what people should be focusing on, is the fact that Zohran's mom worked in Hollywood. Not the allegations, not the people working in our government right now that are quite clearly, implicated in all of this shit. None of that. Not the babies that were fucking mistreated. Again, not the threats of death. Not the intimidation. Not any of the court filings or the witness testimony. None of that. None of those things. But the fact that Zohran's mom worked in Hollywood, that's what he wants you to take out of the. Can you? I mean, how? How can you just, as somebody that's, supposedly representing the party that protects children, the party that cares about, remember the Sound of Freedom movie bullshit that they were all fucking going to see, and we protect the children. Well, guess what? These motherfuckers are now doing their best to actively not look at the worst of the files to come out of the Epstein files, and to sit here and be like, oh yeah, Zohran's mom worked in Hollywood. That's the biggest part that we need to look at. Those are the same people. Now, if you can somehow put that and make sense of that, I'll be happy to listen.
Out of these emails that I can see right now, there's millions to go through. So we'll have more and we'll be reporting on more. But JD Vance, he was they had him there, right? Like, he's going to be running in 2028. He's not been leaning super into the Zionist stuff. He seems to be abstaining, has been quiet during the whole Epstein thing. It definitely didn't seem like he agreed with it. But everyone knows that Peter Thiel effectively funded J.D. Vance's career. He probably had something to do with J.D. Vance getting the deal with Netflix to do his book, A Hillbilly Elegy, I think it was called. And
basically, she's portraying the connection between Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance. And here, I found this. We'll go back to that one before she brings on Peter Thiel and Joe Rogan's little clip that he have here. But this is what I was talking about with Matt Walsh. Listen to this bullshit. This is just over a minute. We don't even have to listen to the whole thing. But listen to what he's actually trying to get across as like what you should be looking at. Don't look at all the horrible acts against children. Don't look at any of that. Don't look at any of the high profile people involved. Don't look at any of the fucking people now actively working in our government that are involved. That's not what you should be looking at. What you should be looking at and what you should be pissed off is that Zoran's mom worked in Hollywood. That's what listen.
Now, it can't be overstated how extraordinary it is that despite his reputation and his crimes, which he admitted to, Epstein had a connection with pretty much every power player and future power player in American politics. So here's a 2009 email from Epstein's publicist to Epstein, just as another example. Quote, just left Ghislaine's townhouse after party for film. Bill Clinton and Jeff Bezos were there. Director Mira Nair, etc. Film received tepid reaction, although women like it much more. Studio went for free party from store and windows for a month. Going to be in Wall Street tomorrow.
And we don't have to listen to his bullshit. But Mira, where it says here on screen, director Mira Nair is supposedly Zoran's mom, right? In what he's talking about here. So basically, this is what he's going to try to get across, and a lot of it is just like even people that have been speaking about it, it's just party flyers in different events. Like we all know that like people are in these that are listed as far as being in like an email or being in a document or something like that were just at regular events. We know that Jeffrey Epstein did attend regular events with people of, high profile, high society, whether it's, fucking different film viewings, whatever it may be. There were those things that he was attending where people definitely would have been in the same room with him, but didn't have, active relationships or active involvement or anything like that. Right. So obviously that's something that people with a brain in their heads could recognize. Well, this is what they're trying to get across. Listen to what he's trying to say, and I'll go on just so he doesn't have to bullshit you any longer.
XOXO Peg. Now, the director that's mentioned there, Mira Nair, who's mentioned in the email, is not a name you probably recognize, but it is a name familiar to Zoran Mamdani because that is his mother, who supposedly is from, Nowheresville, Uganda, came out of nowhere to become the mayor of our largest and most important city. This, again, is perhaps the most important takeaway from the Epstein files.
This perhaps is the most important takeaway from the Epstein files. Are you fucking shitting me? Are you fucking shitting me? The Protect the Children class, the Protect the Children party. The most important thing to come out of the Epstein files is that Zoran's mom was a Hollywood director. You have got to be fucking kidding me. I mean, just how deluded do you need to be? Honestly, how fucking deluded do you need to be to make it a point to go in front of your audience, not show all of the other, again, egregious, sickening, stomach-churning stuff that has come out of these fucking files, and to talk about the fact that, they attended film release parties in which the director was named. And now they're trying to get it across as like Zoran's a hand-picked person. Like we didn't have democratic elections in New York City for the mayoral race, right? Like there wasn't overwhelming support for Zoran Mamdani in those races. Like he was appointed is what they're trying to get across in that. That's how far down the rabbit hole they are willing to go in order to not talk about Donald Trump's involvement, in order to not talk about Howard Lutnick's lies, in order to not talk about Elon Musk's involvement in how desperately he wanted to get to the island for the wildest party that he could find, right? Or any of the Peter Thiel's involvements, which we're going to check out in 2 seconds. Anything to not talk about that. And this is how fucking deep they're willing to fall. How sick they're willing to be. to have this for the rest of time to sit up there for their children and their children's children and their children's children to look back on and say, my grandfather or my great-grandfather or my great-great-grandfather was the one actively, protecting the pedophiles, was the one actively pointing away from the criminals to obfuscate, to make sure that they didn't get in trouble, to make sure that they weren't, talked about on social media or in the or on the news or anything like that. That's what he's going to remember for. But again, going back to how many Trump acolytes were directly related and involved in this, here's Peter Thiel. And again,
And Peter Thiel, who was mentioned early on as being someone who was friends with Epstein, went on to Rogan at the end of last year and sort of intimated that he really didn't know Epstein that well, but spoke to him mainly just about math because he knew about taxes and how to avoid them. Take a listen.
now listen to this interaction. Listen to how Joe Rogan tries to bail out Peter Thiel, tries to give him that out of just say it was before the convictions. Just say it was before this, that, or the other thing, and like you didn't know. And Peter Thiel, I don't know, is such in like a robotic trance-like fucking state all the time that he doesn't comprehend the fucking, the life preserver that Rogan's throwing him. And he just bats it away. He bats it away and blatantly says, no, it was after that. I should have known. I knew what the fuck was going on. I just didn't care, apparently.
I met Epstein a few times as well. And I think...
How'd you get introduced?
It was Reid Hoffman in Silicon Valley introduced us in 2014, but it was basically, and I didn't ask enough questions about it.
When you were introduced to him, how was he described to you?
He was described as one of the smartest tax people in the world.
Interesting.
And I probably was my moral weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was post.
So that's the out. That's the out right there, that Joe Rogan. That's the life preserver, right? That's the fucking off-ramp that Rogan's like, just take this right here, buddy, because we're not going down the right path here. All the pedophiles and all the fucking people listed in the Epstein files that I've had on the Rogan show in the past, looks like you're just kind of bringing that back up and people are going to start talking about it. So here, throw this life preserver out, put this around, and just say that it was before the convictions and you didn't know. And Peter Thiel is so fucking stupid, doesn't recognize that, and actually answers the question like, oh, no, it was after. I know. We all knew how much of a disgusting pig, excuse me, I almost just choked to death, how much of a pig and a pedophile he is.
My moral weakness that I.
Well, how could you have known back then? He had never been arrested.
No, this was 2014. It was post arrest.
2014, ladies and gentlemen, 2014. Now, can we go back in time and just recollect at what point did the American public know about Jeffrey Epstein's criminality, about his fucking pedophilia, about the engagement of underage girls and the high-profile clientele involved? Pretty sure it was well before 2014.
Oh, so his arrest was the first arrest, right?
Yeah,
which was like
2007, 08.
Okay. Okay.
That seems to me like it's a long time before 2014. Seems to me like you had ample time to read a fucking newspaper article, or I don't know, watch the news, or I don't know, pick up a fucking magazine, or I don't know, see a court fucking filing or something to be like, maybe I shouldn't be doing business with this fucking pedophile. Maybe I shouldn't be actively involved in going to parties and going to this guy's island several years after it's been fucking public knowledge of what he's been engaged in. But nope, he digs the hole even deeper.
And so,
but you assume he didn't go to jail for that long.
Right.
It was probably not as serious as alleged.
So, I'm sorry. Because you don't think that he was locked up for what you would call, enough time or a substantial amount of time or enough time for you to be like, oh, I definitely won't hang with that pedophile again. That is the justification that you're going to use to be like, oh, I guess the shit that he did probably couldn't have been that bad, even though it, again, was involving underage girls, underage kids, trafficking them. Just the most egregious shit you could possibly fucking think of. And it was all public knowledge well before this. But he says, he wasn't in there for life, so it couldn't have been that bad, really. I mean, is he really that bad of a guy if they didn't give him life? Did you hear this? Do you hear this? And again, this is JD Vance's fucking, partner in crime. JD Vance's best fucking friend, responsible for the fucking rise of JD Vance. Not a good look. Not a good look, but fits right in line with what we know about Donald Trump's acolytes and the people serving in his fucking administration right now.
There was certainly was the illusion that there were all these other people that I trusted. Reed, who introduced us, was
again, all these people that I trusted that would definitely make me overlook the judgment that I should have and being like, you know what? Like, I don't know, maybe the people that are introducing me to a pedophile aren't fucking good people either. I mean, wouldn't that be the first thought? Be like, well, wasn't that guy just arrested and convicted of all these egregious and ridiculously harmful and disgusting things? Like, okay, maybe you're a fucking dickhead too. Maybe you're one of the people that were listed in these files, or maybe you're one of the people that were responsible for perpetrating these crimes. If you're trying to hook me up with that person, wouldn't you think, somebody that's supposedly smart enough to have made billions and billions of dollars because of his fucking genius, right? But you're too fucking stupid to be like, maybe I should keep away from the pedophile ring. No, that thought didn't cross your mind at all?
He started LinkedIn. He was, maybe too focused on business networking, but I thought he always had good judgment in people.
Definitely. And you know what would definitely lead me down that path to be like, that guy is really good at judging people, is the first time he tried to reintroduce me to, or again, introduce me to for the first time, a fucking convicted pedophile. That's the first thing that I think of when my friends try to do that is like, wow, you guys have really good judgment in people. Like, you know how to pick them. You sure do know how to pick them. I mean, do you have anybody else? Is there an axe murderer? Is there a fucking, I don't know. Is there somebody that chopped up, is Stalin around? Do you have, who are you going to introduce me to next? Mao? Maybe? Is Adolf Hitler one of your buddies? Can we kind of clarify? Because I don't know what's going on here. That's kind of maybe the questions that I'd ask.
Down, and Epstein gets arrested for the second time, where you're like, oh, well, there you go.
I've thought about it.
Yes, the answer to that is unequivocally, this should have been answered quicker than the question that he was asked during that ridiculous interview where he's like, do you want fucking the human race to continue? Do you want the human race to survive? Like, this should be a fucking quicker yes than that. Like, the second time he was arrested, the second time that fucking he was arrested for his sex trafficking, his child pedophilia, his fucking, sailing, his sales of underage girls, his auctions of underage girls, right? The second time, didn't that set off like the alarm bells? And he still has to think about it like, shit, did it? I don't know if it did. No, it was still a little time after that I was like, maybe this guy isn't a good guy. Like, what? Jesus Christ.
Thought a lot about it as a result. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And thought about it, he did, because he was emailing Jeffrey Epstein a lot, meeting up with him a lot. Definitely sounds like they were very close, inviting him to the island. Basically, this guy's going to be here from Europe. Also, you should come this weekend. They were together all throughout New York, constantly messaging each other. It is not a good look. There is no question these two were friends. And I do not accept that the person who's effectively spying on all of us, he's got to deal with the military through Palantir, by the way. And
again, the Palantir, another whole fucking aspect of this thing, which is, should very much set off the alarm bells for the American people. The surveillance state, Jeffrey Epstein's alleged involvement with Mossad, right? And now we got Peter Thiel's involvement with his Palantir. Knowing what fucking Palantir has been responsible for and what they want to conduct, knowing what Peter Thiel and the rest of these fucking sickos, as far as what is the technocrat state, the technocracy, what is it? My apologies. For some reason, I can't remember it, but it's something like that. I mean, all these sickos and individuals that now want to, not want to, but now come out, as having fucking relations involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. All of a sudden, they're like the most powerful individuals that are now trying to, infiltrate the government and being on Donald Trump's fucking, best friend list so they can get the contracts, the military contracts, this contract, that contract. It's crazy. Again, the proximity of these fucking people. And again, I feel like, well, we are running out of time. My apologies. All right, let's dive into this. This is a quick clip from Steve Bannon. And again, this is just to enlighten everybody and make everybody aware of the ongoing plot I believe is actively happening behind the scenes of some funny business, some shenanigans that's going to take place either before or during midterms. Again, I don't know what the plan is. I don't know how specific it is. I don't know where it's going to take place, but we better be fucking ready for some shenanigans, because it sounds like with everything that's happening, with Steve Bannon's rhetoric, with Donald Trump talking about nationalizing fucking the voting, with Donald Trump saying that the Republicans should take over voting in 15 states or whatever the fuck he said, we better be prepared for something to happen. You better fucking believe it.
Senator
Listen to Steve Bannon here.
Said in an interview, he said, "We don't want ICE agents showing up at the polling stations. That's what this is all about. That's why they're trying to defund ICE. That's why they're trying to, go after and target ICE and shut it down. Why would you care if ICE shows up to polling stations? Because illegal aliens are not allowed to vote in this country."
Yeah, I couldn't, there's no reason that I could think of right now, except for like, I don't know, dead Americans and like deported people that were doing things the legal way, going to, through the asylum process, that are now finding themselves in a country they have never fucking been in, with no money, nowhere to stay, nowhere to live, no fucking friends, no help, no way to get back. Again, Renee Nicole Good, fucking Alex Preddy, and the list goes on of reasons as to why the American people should not want law enforcement, should not want these fucking Gestapo Nazi thugs in masks roaming around election, voting stations. Just a lot of reasons that I could think of in this aspect.
Except for the problem is they do. And they do in these, they're not blue states. I was going to say blue states. Minnesota is a deeply red state. That is.
Minnesota is a deeply red state. Okay. All right. Minnesota blue or red? Okay. Occasionally, swing state maps might include Minnesota, Maine, Virginia, and Texas, which generally vote for one party. Minnesota, Maine, and Virginia generally Democratic. Texas generally Republican. So Minnesota, Maine, and Virginia generally Democratic. Now is that what do we call red states? What are the red states? Democratic is blue. Red. Oh, Republicans. Okay. Just wanted to double check Caroline Wren's little statement that she made there of fucking absolute no fact.
Held hostage by illegals voting, and it is the minorities have taken over there.
Wait a minute. You just said that they couldn't vote. Didn't she just say they couldn't vote? Am I crazy?
Said in an interview, he said, "We don't want ICE agents showing up at the polling stations. That's what this is all about. That's why they're trying to defund ICE. That's why they're trying to, go after and target ICE and shut it down. Why would you care if ICE shows up to polling stations? Because illegal aliens are not allowed to vote."
First of all, undocumented immigrants are not allowed to vote. So didn't you just say that as 10 seconds before you said this?
Vote. And so that is what this it is. The minorities have taken over there. And by minorities, I mean the minority party, the Democratic Party there. And that is due to allowing illegals to vote. And so that.
Again, in the same sentence, she didn't even, there's no period in between the fucking hypocrisy of her stating that it's not legal and then the fact that she's saying it's happening. just not even a pause. Didn't even fucking suck in a little bit of air.
That is what this outrage by the left is against ICE. They're desperately trying to shut down the DHS funding bill. They don't want ICE funded because they don't want ICE at the polling stations to stop illegal.
No. We don't want ICE funded because they're out there ripping people out of homes, shooting people in the face, and murdering Americans on the streets. And ripping people actively trying to go through the asylum process that you motherfuckers say, hey, everybody can come in as long as they do it the legal way, as long as they do it the right way. Well, that's what they're doing, motherfucker. And they're still being deported. They're still being ripped out of the courtrooms at their hearings. They're still being ripped out of hospitals and work and fucking church and this and that, everywhere you can go. And then the Americans being shot on the streets is another fucking huge problem. So yes, ICE needs to be abolished. It needs to be eradicated and rethought. And we need to take every motherfucker that's been involved and signed up after a certain time frame, and we need to do a deep dive and a deep investigation as to what they were affiliated with, a part of, and what took place under their fucking watch.
The ask here on the SAVE Act and Make America Make Elections Great Again Act are pretty basic. A legitimate ID to show who you are to vote. It is to clean up the voter rolls. We've had Tom Fenton on here. There are millions. There are tens of millions particularly in places like Georgia, but all over the nation, there are tens of millions of people on voter rolls that should not be. They have to be cleaned up. And the blue states are the ones that are fighting the Justice Department. And then the last is you've got to go back to the basic law. If you're going to have mail-in ballots, you have to have signature verification. You have to have the double envelopes. You have everything so we can't have a 2020. And the Democrats don't want to play that because they know how to steal elections. Let's put you on notice again. ICE is going to be around the polls in the 2026 midterm elections because we are never again going to allow your business model. Because I think Jesse Kelly's right. 20% of the country probably votes for Democrats. You know, the credential class, and of course the abject poor that they keep on these social welfare programs and never let them off it. That's the Democratic Party base with a handful of oligarchs, the super wealthy. That's who controls the Democratic Party. The way that they continue to win elections is they cheat. If they don't cheat, they can't win.
Again, an active threat there by Steve Bannon to, again, just, actively intimidate voters, send ICE with their masks and their guns out to surround the voting stations, the polling places, to, again, actively intimidate people not to show up. So what they're doing is telling you that the Democrats cheat while actively cheating, while talking about their plan to cheat. That's how that works with these bastards. It's fucking crazy. It really is crazy. All right, let's see here, because there was a few more things that I wanted to, I just wanted to show this because as you're hearing Steve Bannon talk about elections, as we've talked about, again, the threats from, this administration dangling ICE in front of governors being like, hey, we'll only remove DHS and ICE and Border Patrol if you hand over the voter rolls, right? If you hand over this information, if you hand over these, undocumented immigrants, if you hand over these people you have currently incarcerated in your prisons and jails. So they're quite literally using it and dangling it as incentive, as a reason to steal voting information. As Donald Trump's talking about nationalizing the voting, as he's talking about Republicans should take over voting, as Steve Bannon's talking about having armed, masked men surrounding the voting poll stations. So again, this is all leading to the numbers that you're about to see here.
With me now, CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton. He is running the numbers on America's faith in the election system. Harry, do Americans trust Donald Trump when it comes to running the elections?
No, they trust him about as much as they trust him to be modest. I mean, just take a look at these numbers right here. I think this gives the game away.
Okay, so on screen, if in case you're just listening, is a poll that they're showing in the it's titled "Trump Committed to Free and Fair Elections," and the people that have voted either yes or no among all adults. 56% of the country, or 56% of the people who voted in this poll, said no. They do not feel that Donald Trump is committed to free and fair elections. I feel like that's an incredibly low number from considering what we know about Donald Trump, but still over half the population as taken by this poll. 43% said yes, which is just asinine that anybody believes that he's willing to have free and fair elections at this point. And it's for some reason, above the 30% that you typically see, above the, from the cult, like the cult base, the sycophants. But he goes on, because the next one that I want to see, it's even more important in my eyes, which is the independents, right? Independents. And this is the one that he talks about, right? Yeah, here you go. Among independents, 65% of independents say no, Donald Trump is not committed to free and fair elections. And he starts this right here. Check it out.
Independents, it is even worse. Take a look here. This is a group that Donald Trump has really been struggling with. And when it comes to his commitment to free and fair elections, they absolutely believe he is not. We're talking about 2 in 3 independents say, no, Donald Trump is not committed to free and fair elections. We're talking about just a third of independents believe that Donald Trump is committed to free and fair elections. They will view his current comments very negatively. And this, of course, just builds upon their continuing distrust and their deepening distrust of Donald Trump when it comes to his job for the president overall, and specifically to this.
And again, I do believe that the worse and worse that those poll numbers look, the worse and worse that Donald Trump's approval rating gets, the more obvious it becomes that fucking Democrats are going to absolutely steamroll the shit out of Republicans in the midterms. The more likely it is that we see shenanigans behind the scenes. The more likely it is that we see, voter rolls stolen, more fucking raids on election sites and election fucking places like we saw in Fulton County, right? More fucking, threats from the government to different governors saying, hey, we're going to send in ICE, or we're going to do this, or we'll send in the National Guard if you don't hand over the voter rolls or this or that information, right? I just do believe that it's coming. The more and more obvious that it becomes, the more and more desperate the Republicans are going to get in trying to do something behind the scenes. And we need to keep our eyes wide the fuck open to make sure that we're ready for it. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for sticking around today. Great show. We got another show coming up tonight, 8:30 p.m. here on the East Coast, 5:30 on the West Coast. That's going to be a 2-hour episode of the Blunt Politics podcast. So we're going to dive into a little bit more of what's going on in Ukraine. I know it's been a couple days with all the craziness and the Epstein files release and what's been going on in this country, but we're absolutely going to get back into some of the frontline updates, some of the tactic changes by the Ukrainian military, some of the recent strikes by Russia on the energy and the infrastructure of the energy over there during what is a brutally cold period for Ukraine, which is again putting a lot of people in harm's way, one of which is our good friend and friend of the show, Philip Ittner. So again, it is very near and dear to our heart that we continue to talk about this. And again, as everybody always know, we are over 9,000 euro raised in our endeavor, in our campaign for NAFO, which is just, I don't know. I'm shocked and amazed every day that I see this continuously going up. You guys have been absolutely incredible. People that have donated, people that are just sharing this out to your friends, family, coworkers. I can't thank you enough, literally from the bottom of my heart, from the heart of the people that are, going to be saved and helped by this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're now up to 9,052 euro raised. We are almost at 50% of the way there. I can't believe it. It's been an incredible time to see people willing to step up like this and to put Ukraine above themselves and to put the fight for democracy above themselves. It's pretty awesome to see the resistance work as the resistance should. So thank you very much to everybody. And again, 80 donations so far, up over 9,000 euro. And I do want to make sure to again implore everybody to go sign up and subscribe over on this space. I can't tell you how important it is to have a multitude of different programming, a multitude of different channels that you guys can tune into and get some great fucking information from some great creators at all times. And again, big thanks to Matt, the letter hack over there, for starting this coalition. Again, it is now more important than ever that we have as many voices as humanly possible speak out. So again, please head over to this space and subscribe there. It is free to do so. Doesn't cost you a dime. And again, I'd love to see those numbers get up over there. It would be great to see the coalition continue to grow, especially as we go into midterms, knowing the fight that we have in front of us. So yeah, please, whatever it takes, get people involved. Make sure you're sharing that channel out as well. Thank you to the whole crew here over at Blunt Politics. You guys have been and continue to be the most amazing chat on social media, and I can't thank you enough. What do you say we get into thanking some people before I send it over to Jeff Waldorf, I believe, over on this space? I do have a few minutes to thank some people over here who were kind enough to donate. So I appreciate you, Yakov, very much for the $2. I appreciate you, Jordan, very much for the $5. Theo always looks like he just came off a 3-day meth-fueled bender, serious dehydration, sunken eyes. He definitely doesn't look right at any point. So I appreciate you, Jordan. Jordan again for the $2. This is yet another trial balloon. Absolutely, I do appreciate the chat that you sent in, and I definitely concur. So thank you, Jeff, as well. For the $5. I appreciate you, Marsha. Thank you so much for everything that you do. A big shout out to you. Big shout out to Gamer as well for becoming a new YouTube member. Shout out to Marsha for the $2. Love to Boston Briantologist chat and mods. Thank you so much, Marsha. I very much appreciate you. And then as always, let's head over to the old fine people on Venmo and see if anybody contributed over there so we can say thank you to those people. And then I'll get you guys over to Jeff Waldorf over on this space, right? Appreciate you guys. I very much appreciate you guys always. So Jenny Faye, big from everybody here at the chat too. I wanted to make sure to recognize this. Jenny Faye, I want everybody to wish Jenny Faye the warmest and quickest recovery possible. She had her procedure today, and I just want to make sure that we're sending her all the love here in the chat as we hope that she recovers well. If you need anything, if there's anything that I can send, anything that could help your recovery and make it a little bit more comfortable, please don't hesitate to ask. Please don't hesitate to reach out. And we're thinking of you today, Jenny Faye. Very much appreciated for what you do. So I'm going to send it over to Jeff Waldorf over on this space. And once again, please make sure we're subscribing to this space. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to the mods over there. I very much appreciate you guys. I think I'm about a minute or two early, but the producers over there are on top of things, and I don't think that they'll mind. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much again to the people here at Blunt Politics. We'll check you out tonight, 8:30 p.m. On the East Coast, 5:30 p.m. over on the West Coast for another full episode of the Blunt Politics podcast. And again, thank you again to everybody on this space. Appreciate the mods for everything that you guys do, and I appreciate the mods very much over here in the Blunt Politics chat for doing what you guys do. All right, I'll see you guys tonight. I appreciate you. Kick some ass. Make sure you're staying loud, staying proud, staying aggressive, but keep your head on a swivel if you're getting out there. Make sure you're staying safe. Get your exits planned. Make sure you got some people to surround you and cover your back. All right, I appreciate you. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics, and I will see you tonight. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's a new form of vicious violation to our country.
Somebody said, is that a Trump statement or is that real?
God bless the United States. Water coming here is dead. The water coming here is dead.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
I am the chosen one.
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
What in the hell was that all about?
He says rectum damn near killed him.
Man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well. I've become an expert on guns. Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats, they're eating the pets of the... Wrong. What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
Where you going? Nowhere.
Bad news, bad news. Even when it's good news, it's bad news.
I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.
All right, guys, I'll see you later tonight. Very much appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything.